Nuclear weapons. If your enemy's got them, you've got to have them as well. And if you've got them, you better be ready to use them first. But two countries, India and China, disagree. We think they're right, and here's why. First, let's talk about why states think using nuclear weapons is a good idea. There are three main reasons: disarming your enemy's nukes, deterring your enemy's armed forces, and just bullying your enemy. So let's break them down. You know your enemy has nukes, and your enemy knows you have nukes. You fear that if your enemy has more nukes than you, they can take out your nukes and disarm you. So to disarm them first, you need more nukes than them. But when your enemy knows you're building more nukes, they have to build more nukes as well, so you can't disarm them. And so on. This is basically what happened during the Cold War. And on top of all this, if you distrust each other, which you probably do since you both have nukes, the costs of even a tiny mistake are going to be horrendous for both sides. So much for disarming your enemy with a first strike. Now let's talk about deterring your enemy's armed forces. Let's say Russia decides to annex one province in Estonia, a NATO member. Would the US threaten Russia with nukes? If it did that, Russia would threaten it back with nukes as well. So the US would be better off deterring Russia with its armed forces rather than with its nuclear weapons. Which means that using nuclear weapons to deter your enemy's armed forces is probably not a very good idea. The British sitcom Yes, Prime Minister had an interesting take on the matter.
Scenario 2. Russian army maneuvers take them accidentally on purpose across the West German frontier. Is that the last resort?
No.
Right, scenario 3. Suppose the Russians have invaded and occupied West Germany, Belgium, Holland, France. Suppose their tanks and troops have reached the English Channel. Suppose they are poised for an invasion. Is that the last resort?
No.
Why not?
Well, we'd only fight a nuclear war to defend ourselves. How could we defend ourselves by committing suicide?
So what is the last resort, Piccadilly?
Finally, let's talk about using nukes to bully other countries. Let's say the US demands Iran stop doing something that doesn't really matter much, like exporting dry fruits. And if Iran doesn't stop, the US is going to nuke Tehran. Now, this American threat is not credible because Iran knows the US will not risk all of the political fallout of a nuke for something so silly. But now let's say the US demands Iran give up something more valuable instead, like its nuclear program, or else Tehran burns. Now, after this threat, Iran's nuclear program would become so valuable to it that it would actually risk nuclear destruction to protect this core interest. So America's nuclear threat is still not going to work. So it's obvious, nuclear bullying just isn't a very good way to operate in the international realm. So overall, the three big reasons for states to be the first to use nuclear weapons don't really make any sense. All that promises of nuclear first strikes do is increase mistrust and push the world ever closer to the brink of nuclear war, without achieving strategic objectives. So today, 79 years and 9 days from Hiroshima Day, on the occasion of India's Independence Day, we have a simple proposal for the world. Do what India does, pledge nuclear no first use, and let's all sign a global nuclear no first use treaty. If you're interested in learning more about our research on nuclear strategy, head over to our website takshashila.org.in or follow us on our social media handles. We'll see you in our next video.